But when I say that you are the least qualified FBI director in the history of the FBI, that is real, because you are the only one that never even served with the FBI prior to joining, yet we are supposed to believe that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't ask you a question. Now, what I want to go through is to talk about why you are a failure and why, honestly, we just need to tell you bye-bye. I know that you got a little upset and you put on your show for your boss because it seems like you're trying to save your job when it came to talking to Senator Booker yesterday.
Here's what I've learned in my government service. I don't give a damn what they say about me as long as I'm succeeding in the mission.
Rep. Jasmine Crockett didn't just question Trump's hand-picked FBI director Kash Patel, she torched him. Straight up called him the least qualified FBI director in history and backed it up with receipts. This wasn't politics as usual. This was a takedown, and it hit Patel and Trump's MAGA machine right where it hurts.
Man, oh man, there has been so much today, and I truly don't know where to start. So I'm just going to make sure that we start off with a few facts. So a couple of facts that we need to make clear for everyone is that, number one, Director Christopher Wray, when he was appointed to be the head of the FBI, was appointed by Donald Trump. Now, I will agree that I definitely take issue with a number of decisions that Donald Trump makes, especially when it comes to the people that he decides to appoint to very important positions, including this one, because I did have to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. But when I say that you are the least qualified FBI director in the history of the FBI, that is real, because you are the only one that never even served with the FBI prior to joining, yet we are supposed to believe that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't ask you a question. Now, what I want to go through is to talk about why you are a failure and why, honestly, we just need to tell you bye-bye. I know that you got a little upset and you put on your show for your boss because it seems like you're trying to save your job when it came to talking to Senator Booker yesterday. But let's go through some of your failures. So before you were even confirmed, and I think one of my colleague from Georgia, pointed out that you are already targeting career officials so that you could direct illegal firings. Mind you, these cases that you were so upset about, which are the ones tied to Trump, the cases came through his handpicked FBI director. And frankly, when people sit around and say things like, oh, you know, we're happy because now we feel safe. I don't know who feels safe in this country except for the white supremacists, because I specifically as a black woman definitely don't feel safe. And frankly, my colleagues have been real nice to you today, and I applaud them, but I don't have the same demeanor because I know that multiple colleagues on this side of the aisle have faced death threats. In fact, somebody tried to kill one of my colleagues. And frankly, I don't know if this FBI or under your leadership, if those people would have been caught. I don't have any confidence in you. And if we start talking about the reasons that I lack confidence, we could start with you not just wanting to acknowledge some simple facts. Simple facts like the vast majority of the threats are coming from right-wing extremism. And I know my colleagues have tried to stress this, but I decided that I would maybe do it in a different way. Number one, I have a couple of UCs. Kim Buck, one of multiple Republicans receiving death threats for voting against Jim Jordan as House Speaker.
Without objection.
Another one, Republican lawmaker says she received death threats after voting against Jim Jordan in Speaker's race.
Without objection.
In addition, there was another one from another colleague who now is leaving Congress because they said that they were calling his wife anonymously and threatening her life to the extent that she ended up sleeping with a firearm.
Without objection.
Okay, so here's the deal. How are we supposed to have confidence when you're sitting up here telling the Senate yesterday that it will take you 14 years before you can get the FBI fully staffed to do their jobs. You're also now redirecting resources so that they can go and play ICE agents on the streets. You're getting rid of your most qualified people. And even when it came down to somebody that you consider to be a friend, you were posted up having some fancy dinner to the extent that you posted not only once erroneously, you posted twice erroneously as it relates to catching somebody. And then you want to go and say, let me take a victory lap. Because honestly, if it wasn't for parents deciding that they were going to turn in their child, it seems like y'all wouldn't have got there, even though he literally confessed online. So I'm confused about what it is that the FBI is doing, except for trying to put on a show for the apprentice, or whatever you want to call him. The day after all of this took place, there was domestic terrorism that was taking place at HBCUs. They were targeted. Yet I didn't hear anything from the FBI about what was going on. And again, black people kept saying, how did we end up in this? Because the numbers are so very clear that white supremacy is a problem. And honestly, I've not heard anything out of you today that makes me believe that you're going to do anything about the white supremacy problem. The one that is leading to children being killed, children being shot, as well as members of their community as they're worshiping in their churches.
The time of the gentlelady has expired. If the gentleman would like to respond to any of that. Well, I'll respond. Kash Patel, as I said when I introduced him, public defender, former prosecutor, top staffer on the House Intelligence Committee, Deputy Director of National Intelligence with the National Security Council, Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense, and FBI Director. I think that's a pretty good resume for the guy who's now running the top law enforcement agency in our country. And we've seen all the stats that he's given to the committee on how much better they're doing at getting the bad guys than the previous guy was doing. With that, I recognize the gentleman from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, I think you're witnessing some auditions, clickbait auditions for the Academy Award for my Democratic colleagues. We'll see how they fare as they're on MSNBC later on today. But do you care, before I launch into my line of questioning, to respond to Ms. Crockett from Texas on that very elaborate and theatric display?
Here's what I've learned in my government service. I don't give a damn what they say about me as long as I'm succeeding in the mission. We're succeeding in the mission because the men and women of the FBI have never been empowered to do more work and to hit the streets harder than by President Trump's authorities and resources he's given us. And so all I care about is that we are capturing more child predators than ever before, taking more drugs off the streets than ever before, that we are capturing murderers at a significantly historic rate, and we're delivering this country the lowest murder rate in recorded history. That are facts that you cannot dispute. But you can come at me all you want. I don't care.
Thank you, Director, for that. And we appreciate your service. We appreciate the results speak for themselves, I think, pretty plainly, and your commitment not only to results, but to transparency. So we do appreciate that.
Rep. Jasmine Crockett didn't just question Trump's hand-picked FBI director Kash Patel, she torched him. Straight up called him the least qualified FBI director in history and backed it up with receipts. This wasn't politics as usual. This was a takedown, and it hit Patel and Trump's MAGA machine right where it hurts. All right, folks, let's talk about what just went down in Congress, because if you blinked, you might have missed one of the sharpest, most devastating takedowns we've seen in a long time. Representative Jasmine Crockett, a Democrat out of Texas and one of the fiercest voices we have right now, just completely dismantled Donald Trump's hand-picked FBI director, Kash Patel. And when I say dismantled, I mean she stripped him down to the core of his incompetence, exposed the hypocrisy of his appointment, and left him with nowhere to hide. This wasn't just political theater. This was accountability, long overdue. Now, let's step back for a second. Who is Kash Patel? This is a guy who has been floated around MAGA world for years, a man who made his career not through expertise, not through service to country, but through loyalty to Donald Trump. And this is a pattern we've seen again and again with Trump. He doesn't pick the best people. He doesn't pick the brightest people. He doesn't pick people who are qualified for the roles they're being handed. He picks loyalists, he picks sycophants, he picks yes men who will bend the rules, twist the truth, and put his personal agenda above the Constitution, above national security, above the American people. That's how we ended up with people like Kash Patel in positions of enormous power. Crockett wasn't about to let that slide. She came into this hearing prepared, sharp, and laser-focused. And right out of the gate, she said something that resonated. I had to make sure I wasn't going crazy. Because when I look at you, I see the least qualified FBI director in the history of the Bureau. Boom! That's how you start a line of questioning. Direct, unapologetic, cutting straight to the truth. She's not mincing words. She's not dancing around the issue. She's calling it exactly as it is. Think about what that means. The FBI is supposed to be led by someone with impeccable credentials, someone with experience, someone who commands respect in the field of law enforcement and intelligence. That's the history. That's the standard. And instead, Trump gave us Kash Patel, a man better known for parroting conspiracy theories and running political interference than for upholding justice. Crockett is not just calling him out. She's calling out the entire corrupt system that Trump tried to build, where loyalty to him replaced loyalty to the law. As Crockett pushed forward, you could see Patel fumbling, trying to hold his ground, but she wasn't letting up. She pressed him on the failures of the Bureau under his leadership. She pressed him on the refusal to tackle white supremacy head-on, which, let's be honest, has been one of the greatest domestic threats to American safety for decades now. And she laid bare the fact that Patel, like so many of Trump's picks, is more interested in protecting the political right than protecting the American people. Now, let me tell you why this moment matters. Because hearings like this are not just about the fireworks. They're about drawing a clear line between what Democrats stand for and what Trump's MAGA Republican movement is trying to force on this country. Democrats like Crockett are standing up and saying, we believe in qualified leadership. We believe in law and order that is applied equally, not bent to shield extremists. We believe in protecting democracy, not undermining it for the sake of one man's ego. That's the difference. That's what this exchange crystallized.
Let's also acknowledge the stakes here. The FBI under Patel is not some abstract agency. This is the institution responsible for keeping tabs on domestic terrorism, on organized crime, on foreign interference. And if you have someone in charge who is not qualified, who is more interested in appeasing Trump than in doing the job, that puts all of us at risk. It means white supremacist groups can grow unchecked. It means threats to elections can fester. It means justice is applied unevenly. And that's not just politics, that's life and death for communities who are targeted by hate. Crockett knew this. She was speaking for the millions of Americans who have watched Trump and his allies chip away at the rule of law. And she was saying, enough. No more excuses, no more incompetence, no more putting MAGA ahead of America. And folks, that's why this clip is going viral. Because it wasn't just another hearing exchange, it was a Democrat standing strong, speaking truth, and refusing to back down. And here's the part I love about Crockett's style. She doesn't just critique. She makes it clear, she makes it simple. When she says Patel is the least qualified in history, she's not exaggerating. She's not throwing rhetoric into the wind, she's laying out a plain fact. No one else who has held that role has come in with fewer qualifications, less experience, and more partisanship than Kash Patel. And when you put it like that, the audience doesn't just hear it, they feel it. They know it's true. And you want to talk about fire? Crockett delivered it. She turned what could have been a dry oversight hearing into a moment of real political accountability. The kind of moment Democrats need to seize again and again as we head into 2026. Because here's the reality. Republicans thrive on distraction. They thrive on outrage. They want to make every hearing about Hunter Biden or about Hillary's emails or about some culture war nonsense that keeps people angry but doesn't actually solve a single real problem in anyone's life. What Crockett did was flip the script. She said, no, we're not going to chase your distractions. We're going to focus on the rot inside your own house, and we're going to expose it for the American people to see. This is why Democrats like Crockett are essential right now, because they don't just speak truth, they do it with power, with conviction, with clarity. And when you've got a Republican Party that has sold its soul to Donald Trump, that has abandoned policy for personality cult, that has abandoned governance for grievance, you need need Democrats who will stand up, call out the BS, and defend democracy like it matters. Let me put it plainly. Trump appointed Patel because he wanted an FBI director who would protect him, not the American people. Crockett is exposing that. And that's why Patel looked weak, cornered, unable to answer, because deep down he knows he doesn't belong in that chair. Deep down, he knows his appointment was about loyalty, not service. And the American people know it too.